Hello, let's go through another Bella Donna patch from the second Moog patch book. This is Beyond the Sun. So we're going to walk through this and then I'm going to fix a mistake in the documentation. So rate is up fast, but we're not going to worry about that because this has a very slow attack and it's just not going to keep up with the arpeggiator. Our rate here is about 11 o'clock or so. All these are down and the waveform's at the sawtooth. We're going to change that. Let's see, our first oscillator is at 32 feet, our second is at 2 feet, and we've got our frequency all the way up, and we're using a triangle wave on the first and a square wave on the second. Our next thing is our first oscillator is all the way up, and we're approaching distortion there. High pass is here, but it's... oh, I think it is doing something. We've got our attenuator just past 12 o'clock. Our filter is about 10 o'clock or so, maybe 11, 10:30. Envelope amounts all the way up. Resonance is about 1 o'clock. We've got a slow attack, like almost all the way up. We've got a slow decay and a slow release. And our sustain is kind of down. And reverb, you'll see why it's documented that way with the arrows. And we turn up our volume. Okay, so now let's patch our wave out from oscillator 2 to the high pass. Then we're going to go from output of the high pass over to the reverb in. So what this does is that bypasses all the other stuff. So we're skipping the filter, we're skipping the envelope. So this is effectively going to be a drone that you control with the reverb knob. Okay? That's where the volume control comes from. Our wave out from the modulation oscillator goes to the attenuator. And then from there, whoops, back to the linear FM in. And we have our patch. Alright, so you can hear our lower oscillator there. And the intention is we're going to turn this up. Okay, so pretty cool. Let's talk about the second oscillator. I went back and listened to her original intention on the Moog SoundCloud, and there's a few things different here that are happening. First of all, her oscillator 1 is way more distorted than mine, and the only thing I can think is that her mixer section is just hotter than mine. You know, these are analog, so there's going to be variation. So that's my first thought. If I were to really try to sound like her, I would have to put a distortion pedal after this or something. The second thing is about the second oscillator. So what do we have going on here? We're just going wave out to high pass to the reverb in, right? And then, you know, the high pass controls how much low end is coming through. And then what's happening here is we're, you know, taking this back to the linear FM. It kind of gives it a vibrato. And you can hear it there pulsing. Okay, so when I'm listening to her patch, I don't think it's the sawtooth. I think it's the sine wave, because it has a lot more of a warble to it. And especially as you go faster, it starts to sound more like what's on the Moog SoundCloud. Right? Resonance happening, and you can also turn up the noise. That's the intention of this patch, is to use the noise to emphasize the resonance. So we're fading in, fading in, fading in. We let go. We turn up the noise. So that's my thought about it, is that this probably needs to be a sine wave. This probably needs to be a little more distorted, because certainly her version has more harmonics than mine. Maybe it's the delay pedal she's using. She's using like one of the Moog delay pedals, and maybe that's where some of the gain is coming from. But it's a cool patch, and you can kind of play these like long sustained things. I'm going to turn the attack down just for my taste so I can get the notes in faster, and we'll play a few things here. All right, so I hope that gives you something to play with, and just take your understanding from this. There's kind of some nice routing options in here that I like. That you can kind of bypass the envelope, so you're kind of getting two voices out of this, even though it's a monophonic synth. Just by separating the second oscillator out into the reverb, and then using this as your envelope in a way. So I hope you enjoy that.